is introduced to him. It is a conflict that is handed to him, don't miss it, by God. Your greatest struggle is going to be not with what your job told you to do, not with what your family told you to do, not with what people told you to do. Your greatest struggle is going to be honoring what God told you to do. Are y'all with me so far? Yeah. Your greatest conflict, most of us think that people are our problem. And a lot of us will even conclude that the devil is our problem. He is a problem. But understand, he is a defeated foe. So the problem is really not with him, it's with your ability to honor what God said above what the enemy is trying to lie to you and say in contrast. Are y'all with me? I'm gonna take my time on this, so pack your lunch, we're going somewhere here. Everyone has this wrestling match. My wrestling match happened when he told me, he said, I want you to be a pastor. I said, no, you got the wrong number. He says, I need you to walk away from your career and start this church. I said, Lord, I don't think that's your voice. Your greatest conflict will be honoring the assignment of God on your life. If you don't believe me, just keep living. Some of you are in conflict and you don't even understand it. You can't find sleep nor peace. You can't buy it, you can't bribe it, you can't finagle it, you can't manipulate it, you can't create it. You can't find sleep, nor can you find peace, because you are trapped in conflict. And your conflict is not what everybody else is doing around you. Your conflict is not what anybody else is doing to you. Your conflict is you're not doing what God has instructed you to do. Everybody has an assignment. Say that with me. Everyone has an assignment. Okay, say it personally. Say, I have an assignment. You have an assignment. God has given you an assignment. And here's the thing, please understand that agreement is not a prerequisite for obedience. Okay, let that resonate for just a second. No child left behind, lean in. Agreement is not a prerequisite for obedience. Let me help you out. God doesn't make suggestions. God doesn't give options. Well, maybe you can do this, or maybe you can do that. No. God doesn't give options. He doesn't make suggestions, and God doesn't poll people. When he speaks a thing, when he gives an assignment, when he makes an assignment, when he gives instruction, it is what he said it is. So the hardest part of your faith is going to be you doing what God said when you don't agree with it. That's my hardest struggle, is me doing what God told me to do even when I don't agree with it. God told me to leave a job or a career and relocate, and it didn't make sense. The word came and it'll go look for your offender, and you seek your offender out, and you offer your offender forgiveness. Don't look at me funny. He said it, not me. God said we are to pursue peace. Being indifferent and not dealing with it is not the option that God gave you. But it doesn't make sense to you. Are y'all with me? The word of the Lord comes and tells you to go seek your offender, and it doesn't make sense. That an already obligated salary, you want me to take and bring 10% of it back to you. because you said it belongs to you, but it doesn't really fit my budget. Doesn't make sense. You see the wrestling match now. You want me to bless those who curse me? To bless means to speak well of. So even when they're dogging me out, I gotta speak well of them. You want me to bless those who curse me, and you want me to pray for those who are persecuting me? Wait a minute, let me get this straight, Lord. You want me to pray for them, and they dogging me out. I told you your greatest wrestling match is not going to be external, but it's going to be you having to do what God said, even when you don't agree with it. And see, at times, God's will won't make sense on the front end. It didn't make sense for Abraham to take a son that he had prayed for, that he had miraculously birthed in his elderly years, that God had miraculously dealt with the womb of his wife, and they had birthed his only son, teenage boy. It didn't make sense that you want me to take this boy that you promised me, and you want me to put him on the altar, raise a knife, and slay him and take his life. That don't make sense. It didn't make sense that Gideon had an army of 30,000 and he was going to battle against the enemy, and God says, no, 30,000 is too many. Whittle it down. I'm going to give you 300. Wait, you want me to go fight with 300 when I had 30,000? That don't make sense. It didn't make sense that he had 10 lepers and he told the 10 lepers to go and show yourself to the priest. Well, the only reason you show yourself to the priest is that you're already healed. We are not healed. We're standing here as lepers, and you're going to tell us to go and show ourselves to the priest in advance? That don't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you're going to take a little boy's Lunchable and this is all he got to eat for the rest of the day, and you're going to try to multiply in the 5,000. It doesn't don't make sense. There are some things that won't make sense until after it's over. Israel didn't see the Red Sea open until they walked into it. Abraham didn't see a ram caught in the thicket until he was obedient. Gideon didn't know that God would take a few and he would do more with a few than Gideon could have done with many until he stepped on the battlefield and saw the Lord do what the Lord can do. The disciples didn't know that God could multiply 5,000 and feed over 5,000 people with just a few sardines and some loaves of bread until they brought it to him, put it in his hand, and watched him thank God for it, break it, and distribute it. It didn't make sense until they were obedient. The lepers didn't know that God was a God who could restore them until they did what he said, turned around, and started walking toward the priest. It didn't make sense. But God says, when I give you an instruction, you need to know that the instruction comes with my authority. And even if it doesn't make sense to you, my authority should be enough for you to be obedient. You will never see God provide until you learn how to give what you feel you don't have to give. Oh, I preached the whole sermon right there. Preach, boy. Everything that you get in instruction will not always make sense, but God's obedience to God is not predicated upon your understanding. That's why he says, lean not. You see in part, he sees in full. You see in the now, he sees yesterday, now, and tomorrow at the same time. You see what is, he sees what will be, and he knows what was, because he was there in the beginning and he's there at the end. He is Alpha, Omega, beginning and ending, eternal, everlasting to everlasting. He vacillates on the spectrum of eternity, and he knows the end before he ever wrote the beginning. You're only seeing the now So why would you not trust him enough to know that he's already been in your tomorrow and he promised it will work for your good? Take about 10 seconds and thank God for his wisdom, for his insight, for his guidance, for his direction, for his protection, for him blessing you, giving you a foreshadowing of what's coming, for him carrying you into it. No, don't wait on them. This is the will of God in all things. In all things. Even in this right here. In all things. Give thanks. Bless your name. Bless your name, God. Let me rush through here. There was a call to conflicts, but then you turn the corner, and if you get to verse 3, you see that you see that Jonah's response to being called into his personal conflict was not the response that he should have had. Jonah was tripping. Jonah was in himself. As a matter of fact, Jonah was in his feelings. Jonah was a tantrum thrower. He said, I ain't going to talk to them in Nineveh. They're evil people. They're mean people. They're cruel people. They're harsh people. They're raping people. They're killing babies. They're stripping people naked and putting them on horses and riding them through the city. They're skinning people alive. These Ninevites are evil and wicked. They deserve whatever judgment you're going to give them.
I'm from Battle Creek. I'm at my homie's house. I gotta go get myself together. And we're going to take this.
Isn't that how we think?
God bless America.
They deserve whatever they